Welcome to the Diva D-Town. Welcome to the Diva D-Town, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia.
Well, hello, this is Diva Mia, and today we're going to talk a little bit about connection sexually. We've talked a little bit about why women are less connected with when they feel disrespected or when they feel like they're not safe. But today we're going to talk about sex and how often women are having it and see if we can't help you along the path to having a little bit more sex in your life and the reasons why. So let me dive right in today. And we're going to educate you a little bit about relationship wellness. Now, remember, this is not medical advice, and this episode is for education and relationship wellness. If sex is painful, then by all means, you need to do something about that. Or if your desire has suddenly changed, it might be hormonal. But if you're dealing with menopause symptoms or medication side effects, talk to your doctor and see if there's something you can do to change some of those symptoms. Or if you're having menopausal issues that's delaying you wanting to have sex, there's things you can do as well. But today, let's get right in and let's talk about how many times a week you should be having sex. If you're measuring your relationship by how many times a week you have sex, though, that's not a good measurement of your relationship. Some weeks you may have more sex than others. Really, honestly, the happiest couples aren't always having sex. Sometimes the happiest couples are having sex, but they're also connected in other ways. They're on the same level and they align. So just because you're having a lot of sex doesn't mean you're going to be one of the happiest couples, although it doesn't hurt. If your desire for each other is not broken and you're both responsive to each other, then you can have more sex. The big truth, though, is that sex varies between person to person. Different people want sex at different levels. It kind of depends on the person. It also will depend on your health. It also depends on, are you married to the person? Are you dating the person? Do they stay over a lot if you're dating them? Or are you just starting off? If you're dealing with a lot of stress at home or financial stress, it can definitely decrease the amount of desire that you have for sex. It's very hard to get excited about sex if I'm so tired that I'm about to fall asleep. There might be some physical issues with how many times you can have sex. And then on top of it, a lot of people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s are getting on medications, and some of the side effects are sexual. It may cause dryness in women. It may cause erectile dysfunction in men. I know all of these factors weigh, and the quality of your relationship can matter more, too, as you age. If you have a high-quality relationship, you're probably going to keep the sex going. If your relationship is a little stale or you're just not feeling connected anymore, the sex may wane. And it's kind of a sign that things aren't going the best. When you're younger, typically, and I say typically, people have more sex. Now, these statistics may shock you because I thought they were very low. And what happens a lot is as people get older, they have a partner die off or they get divorced and they may be single. So that will decrease the amount of sex that people in the older years are having if they don't have a partner to have sex with, right? But in the 20s to 30 range, so if you're 20 years old to 30, the average number of times you have sex is 1 to 2 times a week. Now, I thought that was really low. Some more, some less. That's the average. If you're partnered with somebody and you're only having sex 1 to 2 times a week, I thought that was low because I remember in my 20s and 30s, I was having sex 4 times per week. That's low, but that's kind of how it is. If you're not married, maybe that will, decrease it. If you're in your 20s or 30s and you're single, you're only having sex maybe a couple times a month. That's a possibility. So 20s to 30s, the average is 1 to 2 times a week. 30s to 40s is only 1 time a week. Because what happens in most people when they're in their 30s to 40s is they have work, they have kids, they have stress. They have a lot of things driving their lives. So in the 30s to 40s, most people are only having sex 1 time a week. And in your 40s to 50s, it stays about 1 time a week to as low as twice a month. Okay? 1 time a week is pretty average for 40s to 50s, but some people are only having it 2 times a month. So there's kind of 2 camps. If you're still married, you're probably having sex once a week. If you're not, it really does decrease the amount of times you're having sex. Now we're getting into the 50s and 60s. I mean, this is really sad. But sex is so important, guys. It's really important for your overall mental health, to fight depression, etc. But we'll get into that in a little bit. In your 50s to 60s, people are only having sex 1 to 3 times a month on average. And if you're in a relationship, you're more likely to be having it 3 times a month. If you're not in a relationship, you may only be having it once a month. So 1 to 3 times a month on average in your 50s to 60s. Now, I'm in my 50s and I'm having sex usually 2 times a day. I'm in a relationship, and so I'm throwing that number way off because for me, it's easily 10 to 14 times a week. 1 to 3 times per month. In your 60s to 70s is the average. In your 60s to 70s, people remain active, but it's only a couple times a month. 70s, 80s, it may only be 1 time a month, if at all. And 80s to 90s, 3 to 4 times a year. Okay. Now, there's only about 10% of the people over 90 still having sex. If you're over 90, only 1 out of every 10 people is still having sex. If you're over 90 and you're listening to this and you're still having sex, you're in the top 10% of the population because the rest of the people aren't even having sex at all. But frequency is not the goal. But I'm here to tell you that it's important too. Because if you have a connection with someone, you're going to want to have sex with them more often. If you have a deep connection, you're going to have sex with them all the time. There's nothing wrong with having sex every morning and every night. There's nothing wrong with having that deep level of a connection. Honestly, I think it's very healthy. Morning sex is the best, though, I will say. For women, I think we like nighttime sex better, but morning sex is much easier for men as we get older. It's really good for everyone's mental health because if you have sex in the morning, it's going to be pleasurable, first of all. It usually takes less work for the guy to get going. It's been linked to better mood and less negative effects for your day. So if you have sex in the morning, you're going to wake up, you're going to have sex, usually first thing in the morning, and you're going to go about your day smiling. You're going to think about that. It's going to keep you going. It's going to decrease your cortisol right off the base. And it's going to affect you physically, mentally, and sexually. It releases oxytocin. You're getting excited. You had a bonding experience with your partner. And you had an orgasm. Hopefully you both had orgasms. By the way, guys, if you're not giving your partner an orgasm, at least 1, maybe 2 on every sexual experience, this is the reason why women want less sex. Because if you're not pleasing them, why do they want to have sex with you? I must be straightforward. If you're not getting your girlfriend off or your wife or your partner, why in the hell would she want to have sex with you again? And if you only get her off every other time, it's going to take the sexual relationship down the tubes. Because if you're not getting her off often or you don't know how to please your partner, you need to figure it out. Because otherwise, the number of times you have sex will be 1 time a week or twice a week or once a month. Because you're not pleasing your partner. Pleasure for a woman isn't just orgasm, although that's a big part of it. Pleasure for a woman is also making her feel safe, so that she can have an orgasm and making her feel respected. But you need to get your partners off. If you don't, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm with a guy that doesn't pleasure me at the same time where he's getting pleasured, I don't stay with them. I don't want to date them because there's no point. There's men out there that are selfish, ladies. There are men out there that they want to get off every single time, but they don't care whether you do. They don't even try, honestly. For the men out there that do that, you get what you give. Eventually, you'll be in a relationship where the woman just doesn't want to have sex with you anymore because you're not pleasing her. So just remember that. Sometimes it's external pleasure during foreplay, and sometimes it's pleasure during sex. But nonetheless, you need to work with your girlfriend or your wife in order to make sure that it fits both of you. Okay, not just you, men. Just saying. Okay, so morning sex will make you 70% more productive for the day. You're going to be able to focus more on the day. You're going to come back after having morning sex and you're going to be nicer to people. You'll be able to focus more. If you can have a better day, it's going to run days better. Now, I think everyone should have sex every single morning, but that's just my personal opinion because it would really go a long way to helping people's attitudes. It sets your whole emotional tone for the day. I think you'll be more close to your partner. I think you're going to fight less with your partner. And it's going to because the oxytocin it releases, I think carries through at least noon, if not longer. And it decreases your stress. So you'll be less reactive when things happen. You'll be calmer. You'll be able to handle things better. And conflict is going to feel easier to navigate. And everybody has conflict in our daily lives and at work. And when that happens, you'll be able to handle that conflict easier. but it's not guaranteed. And the quality of the relationship matters too. If you're having sex in the morning, but you guys aren't connected, it's not going to give you as much pleasure, and you're probably not going to release as much oxytocin. Just remember, for women and men, you got to have that connection. If you don't have it, then maybe you're with the wrong partner. Clinically speaking, though, sex tends to help relationships overall, and it creates a bonding between you and your partner. It creates a closeness that you can't really take away. It helps you feel chosen as well and safe and connected, as well as it helps them feel chosen, safe, and connected. And it repairs any intimate issues you may have. And I will say, the partner I have currently, my boyfriend that I'm dating, I'm very connected with him. And that bonding experience is amazing. And honestly, it's been amazing to go through and connect with someone that much. And there have been people that I've been with in the past that I was just not connected with, and it just was not the same. So when you have sex with a man, you need to be able to be open, honest. And ladies, stop faking your orgasms, because if you're faking your orgasms, then they're going to think they got you off, and then they're going to come. Now, if sex is uncomfortable or painful, then I know women have done that in the past just to be done, but maybe you're with the wrong sized guy as well. There's nothing wrong with being with a smaller sized man, because sometimes the big ones are too big, ladies. They just are. Sexually, you need to be able to give feedback to your partner. You need to be able to tell them, hey, this feels good, this doesn't. Sometimes they pick it up from your moaning. Sometimes guys are just dense in the head and they don't understand what feels good for you. So you've got to be able to give feedback, and whether you're satisfied, whether you're not. And sometimes it's just a discussion. And maybe you have to tell your partner, look, you're going to have to do oral sex or get me off externally before. Otherwise, I don't have an orgasm, because a lot of women don't have internal orgasms. And sometimes they don't have them with certain men. Some men are better at giving orgasms internally than others. And some men are better at giving external orgasms. You need to figure out what they can do and see if you can work with them. But this is a conversation that needs to happen. Men, if you don't think it matters, it so does for you too. Because if you're not getting your woman off and giving her an orgasm, she's going to want to have less and less sex with you over time. You might be one of those people only having sex once a month. That's in their 40s or 50s. It may be true. Let's talk about how satisfaction will affect each other over time. It's not just more sex, it's also better sex. When you do have sex, it's going to be much more amazing. It's quality sex when you can give feedback and you can listen to your partner and learn your partner's body. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be pleasurable for both of you. An intimate experience, it's going to help you with your well-being, and it's not just checking something off the list to get done today. It should not be transactional. You shouldn't have sex and then jump out of bed and go get showered. It should be you have sex and then you cuddle for even just a few minutes, or cuddle for a half hour, whatever you're comfortable with, but cuddle. And don't be a chatty Cathy. You know, guys, if you have a chatty Cathy who has sex with you and then she wants to talk after, it's because you're not giving her enough orgasms. Sorry, guys, it's true. Or maybe she was faking the orgasm that she did have, because women, when they're fully pleasured, they're done. They're like, want to relax. They don't want to get up and do stuff. They want to relax. They want to mellow out. So believe me, if you can really, as I say, bed your woman well, then she won't want to be running around doing a bunch of stuff. You've cleared her brain out if that's possible. Who do you think drives sex, men or women? In most couples, the lower desire partner ends up setting the pace. So in most couples, the women have less desire for men, and they set the pace. So now sometimes the men have less desire, so the man sets the pace, but it slows down the desire. I will say I have a pretty high libido, I think, for someone in their 50s, because I prefer to have sex 2 or 3 times a day. I have a strong sexual desire, and I drive the pace most of the time. Now, I have sometimes driven the pace a little bit too much, and I'm trying to learn to adjust a little bit less, but I will say after menopause, my sexual desire definitely went through the roof. I want sex more often. Now, a lot of women, they don't want sex at all after menopause. They don't want it. That's okay. But I'm pretty sure that they just haven't had a really good partner. Men, you've really got to work on this. You need to make sure your women are satisfied. You need to make sure your women are happy so that they will push for more sex, not less. A lot of women, if you see them declining on the number of times they want to have sex, it's because you're not satisfying them. Learn what makes them happy. And women, you need to be able to tell your partner what makes you happy. But typically, men have a higher sex drive than women. I'm kind of unique, I guess, but I think women's sex drive would be more if they were more pleased with their sexual experiences. But there is a desire discrepancy, too. Sometimes men have more sex desire and sometimes women. And there are men, as we get older as well, ladies, that their sexual desire is going to go down because they can't perform. They may not be able to hold an erection. They may need to start taking all kinds of different supplements to assist. Or maybe they're just not as connected to you. Sometimes that connection wanes and you have to reignite the spark. I know I tried to do that with a trip to Europe once. Didn't really work very well, but you can reignite your spark. You can take them on a trip. You can go to a sexual counselor. You can go to a therapist that specializes in intimacy between partners. If you're having issues sexually and you're just not aligning with how frequent you have it or want it and how frequently you desire your partner, either you're misaligned and you were probably misaligned from the beginning, or something's changed. And you need to figure that out. Is it hormones? Is it erectile dysfunction on your partner's side? Is it they're too rough? They're too gentle? They don't kiss you the way you like to be kissed? I mean, because kissing, again, guys, is a big part of sex. It really is. You found each other. And that's a hard thing to do in this world. If we're really honest with each other, it's hard to connect with people. You may have a surface level connection, but a deep connection is hard to find. But if you're with someone for a long period of time, you've obviously connected. So find out where that connection is and try to make your desires come closer to matching. Sometimes people have spontaneous desires. Now, I know people use alcohol a lot to have a spontaneous desire, and other people have responsive desires. If a woman signals to a man that she wants to be intimate with him, the man is more likely to jump on it. Whereas a man, if he signals to a woman, she may delay having sex because she's just not into it. Well, why? Is she not being pleased? Is she not satisfied? You really have to talk to a therapist at some point if you're going to really come to the root cause of some of these problems. But women are often less inclined to have sex. And I will say a lot of it may be the mental load and the stress we take on. Because if we're running everything and we feel like our partners are not helping out, we tend to want to have less sex with them. It just happens. The mental load and the stress alone, it's a desire killer, ladies. Our brain is our largest sex organ because when we have orgasms, a lot of our orgasm is mental. Whereas men, it's very transactional. It's feeling. Once they're done, they're done. But for us, it's mental. If we can't relax and feel safe and respected while we're having sex, we don't have orgasms. I will say when I feel very safe and respected, my orgasms are much more intense. I feel amazing. You can also have multiple orgasms then as well. Relationship safety, if you have resentment towards your partner or you feel unseen or they disrespect you often, especially disrespect, ladies, it shuts me down. Disrespect is like my trigger. If somebody disrespects me, I don't care how horny I was before. I am done. I don't want to have sex with you. I'm done. My body just doesn't do anything. It's like it's a libido killer for me. I bet it is for a lot of other women. And a lot of women are being disrespected and feel like they're being disrespected. It kills our libidos, guys. So if you want to have sex with a woman and you are being disrespectful to her during the day, and then you come home and you act like, oh, I want to have sex with you, she's going to say no way in hell. And rightfully so. Because if you're disrespectful during the day to a woman and then you come back at the end of the day and you expect her to perform, we don't turn it on and off like that. Guys, they could be disrespected all day long. And if a woman signaled, hey, I want to have sex, they jump on it. Whereas women, we have to have respect with the sex. So I think a lot of the decreased sex drive in women, as well as the number of times women want to have sex, is A, we're not getting pleased correctly, and B, we're getting disrespected throughout the day. When that happens, women just shut down. So men, learn to treat your woman like a princess and learn to respect her, and you will find that you get a ton more sex, probably closer to the amount of sex you're looking for anyway. But relationship safety is also a killer. If in your relationship, your wife or your girlfriend is resentful or feeling unseen, she's just going to shut down as well. We do have responsive desires. So when a man maybe starts giving us a foot massage, or we will respond to desire as well. But it has to start with a willingness to connect. And you have to be connected, as the desire will build your arousal, but without the connection, it doesn't sustain long term. And then there's also pain. When women are going through menopause, a lot of times there's a dryness problem. I'm going to talk briefly. There is what's called an O shot that can help with stimulating your sexual desire. Okay, now it's not the most comfortable. Then there's also hormonal therapy to help with the dryness. So typically the dryness is caused, I believe, by lack of hormones, but you'd have to go to a hormone specialist to see where your hormones are imbalanced and how much to take. But hormones, less estrogen, less progesterone, can cause dryness. When it gets dry, it gets irritated. There's an oil that you can get that will help with the dryness, but it's more of an external oil. There's coconut oil. That's amazing as well. Coconut oil helps with the dryness too. If you want to use like external products, you can if you're looking for something internal or something to help with the dryness. But really, honestly, if you have the right connection with the partner, the dryness tends to go away anyway. But the coconut oil will help, and then make sure your hormones are balanced, and that will help with the dryness and take away the pain and discomfort that happens premenopause, perimenopause, postmenopausal. It happens. Then sex can get painful because if you're dry and you don't get wet for your partner, it gets very painful very quickly. Then what happens is you want to avoid the pain, so then you don't want sex as often. That can happen as well. Let's make sure that you're happy down there and it's not causing you pain when you have sex, and that will help with your sex drive. Then there's body image. I know women, as they get older, they've gained a little bit of weight or they're tired, and they might just be tired because they're going through menopause. But the body image, feeling unattractive or tired or disconnected, happens. Men out there, if you can make your woman feel respected and loved and let her know that you find her sexy and you care for her, that will go a long way to making sure that she still wants to have sex with you. I'm trying to help you out here, guys. I really am. But you got to take care of your person, and she's your person for a reason, because it goes deeper than sex. We all want that connection. We all want that companionship. If you find a person that can provide all of it in one person, you might want to stick with them and keep them for a while. They might be your one. They might be your soulmate, and you just don't know. If you can find that and it's amazing, make sure you make her feel attractive as well. She should be respectful to you and make you feel attractive. And then there's medications and hormones. Medications can make, like birth control pills, if you have thyroid medication that you're on. So you need to talk to your doctor if you're having dry issues, low libido, etc. Because honestly, I think a normal libido, at least for me, would be sex at least once a day. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it helps with your mood. It helps with your joy. It helps with your happiness. Remember, sex once a day is not a problem. I think if everybody was having sex once a day, there'd be no problems in this planet because we would all be happier and getting more stuff done. All right, so let's talk about stimulation. Women like external stimulation more than internal, guys. It's just true. A lot of movies make it look like you kiss a few times and you go to wham, bam, thank you, man. The woman gets off and it's over. That's not the way it works. Most women want to have external stimulation first. Only about 18% of women say that intercourse alone is sufficient for orgasms. So that means you've had no foreplay. You don't kiss. You don't play with your girlfriend's nipples or wife's nipples, which are a very big stimulant during sex for most women. You do no clitoral stimulation. They just don't have an orgasm. Okay, so if you're stimulating your woman's clitoris, then close to 37% of women said that they can have an orgasm during intercourse if you're stimulating that at the same time. But, most people think it's required to stimulate the clitoris in order to make an orgasm better as well. So if you stimulate the clitoris and you stimulate internally, then more women will have sex. Statistic that only 65% of women are having orgasms internally versus 80% that have external stimulation. Most women need the external stimulation to have an orgasm, and 65% of women can have it internally. But here's the trick. On the 80%, if you get the women off externally first, a lot more will be inclined and possible to have an internal after the external orgasm. Remember that. If you want to give your girlfriend or wife the most comfort, make sure you do an external stimulation first. and then you can go have sex. That's the best way to do it. Internal orgasms will be bigger if she does have them. Some women don't have internal orgasms. Some women don't have internal orgasms with you. The reason why I'm saying that is because you're not making them feel safe or respected. So they can't let their minds slow down enough to actually have an orgasm. Or if they do, they have to work really hard to make it happen. That's a lot of mental focus for a woman to have an orgasm. A lot of women were meant just for external stimulation. It's just part of our system. It's the way we are. Realize most women will love external. Now, it doesn't have to be oral sex. Oral sex is wonderful for women. It can just be, hands or, even oral sex with nipple play. Those types of things will make someone more likely to have an orgasm. And then there's the multi-orgasmic women. Now, not all women are multi-orgasmic. The ones that are, I think we like sex more often. Most women experience multiple orgasms after a little bit of recovery time. Now, you can have what's called rolling orgasms where you have one right after the other, but it's going to vary. And it kind of depends on your partner. Because I've been with a partner that I can only have one orgasm with, and then I've been with another partner where I can have 2, 3, or 4 orgasms with them. So it really does depend on who you're with. There's different types of orgasms. So the clitoral-focused orgasm is what we were talking about earlier. This is the most common pathway for a woman to have an orgasm. So men, even if you just finger her or fondle her clitoris prior to sex, it's going to stimulate things down there and make the sex more intense for a woman. So clitoral-focused orgasms are great, and most women will always love those. And then there's the vaginal cervical orgasm, which is just an internal orgasm, and that varies, depends on the person. And it's not just the woman, it matters about the guy too. There can be guys that are too big. They're not getting the vaginal orgasm and arousal like they should. Smaller guys might be better. Now, there's small guys that you don't feel anything, and therefore the orgasm doesn't arouse you either. So you got to find a partner that matches your anatomy. Once you find a partner that matches your anatomy and you can have internal orgasms with them, it's amazing. Then there's the blended orgasm. That's kind of a combination between internal and external orgasms. It's an orgasm that happens from both. I found that if you have an orgasm, if you stimulate the clitoris, the orgasms are a little bit more intense when you're having. It's like a longer orgasm. It's a deeper orgasm. It's almost like a whole body orgasm. It relaxes you. It makes you, afterwards, you might have little twitches. You feel like you just flooded, if you will, down there, ladies. And usually the guy feels that too. But it's one of the best orgasms ever. It feels very good. And it makes you feel safe in your body. Then there's rolling orgasms where one orgasm happens and then you think you're done, and then another orgasm happens like just 30 seconds later without much of a reset time. That happens as well. Multi-orgasmic women, I will tell you, when you get to the point where you're having multiple orgasms at every sexual encounter, then you're going to be driving the sex, ladies. That's the truth. If you're having orgasm after orgasm, you're going to want more and more sex. And the guys are not going to, they might be a little afraid, I will say, because then you're going to be pushing for the sex and they will be running away from it. And, well, not necessarily running away, just not as ready to go as you, especially if you're in your 50s, because you're going to be pushing so hard and they'll be like, I need a break. Remember that it might be a lot for a man when they see a woman that drives sex as much, if not more than they ever did. Menopause and postmenopause sexual is a game changer too. It's called genitourinary syndrome for menopause or of menopause. So this is what happens when you get dry, when you get irritated down there. You might get urinary issues more often, UTIs. It can be painful. It's commonly treatable, but it can be a problem. That is pretty normal for people in menopause. Women have to address the discomfort with lubrication, sometimes pelvic floor support, and there's other medical options. There's surgeries. There's different things you can do. It depends on the extreme of your situation. I know I suffered from dryness for a while, so I'm right there with you if you're a woman out there suffering from dryness after menopause. Lubricants can help, but honestly, I'm kind of a believer if you get the right partner and you connect with them well and they take care of you in the right ways, the dryness will go away. Now, you may be dry throughout the day and may need some moisturizer down there when you're not having sex as well. I think, honestly, coconut oil is pretty good. And then just make sure your estrogen and progesterone levels are correct. That will go a long way. That should help with the dryness, but the dryness can be painful for a time until you get it under control. Post-menopause is kind of fun, ladies. We don't have to worry about getting pregnant. There's no pregnancy anxiety at all because you've already gone through menopause. You also know your body and you know your boundaries and you know what you're comfortable with and you know what you want to do. I think post-menopause is an amazing time to have sex. I think I am the most liberated I've ever been. I want sex more than I did in my 20s. Honestly, I think sex is amazing in our 50s. I think honestly, that's when we're in our prime. I think our 50-year-old sex is amazing. And I'm definitely in my prime for sure. But there's pillars that you have to hit when you're connecting sexually. The first one is connection and daily connection and closeness, not just sex. If you're like fighting all day long, now some people say makeup sex is great, but I'm not a fan of fighting and then having sex. I need the connection during the day, the simple pats on the butt, the looks, the flirtiness, the hand holding, those things are connection throughout the day. That leads up to sex, guys. So if you're wanting to have sex and you're not even holding your girlfriend's hand there, you might not be getting any tonight. You got to give the connection first. And then kissing and touch. So kissing, so important. That shows affection and that you're not just transactionally wanting to have sex. Now, every kiss should not lead to sex. Otherwise, they know that all you're doing is kissing them for sex. You should just be able to give quick kisses and quick I love yous and quick, connection issues. Connection is important. Kissing's important and touch is important. And you've got to respect each other because if there's resentment going on, you're not even going to want to have foreplay. You're not going to be able to get into the bedroom because if you do not respect your girlfriend or you treat them like crap, they're not going to want to be with you, period. And it's the biggest reason why women say, I don't want to be with a guy. We may not have an issue of women not wanting to have sex. We may have an issue of men not being able to respect their girlfriends and their wives. Because if they're not being respected, they're not going to want to be with you. Then you also have alignment. I mean, what are your expectations of sex? I have told people that I've dated that I have a high libido, but then they see how high my libido is and they're shocked, especially if they're in their 50s or 60s because, like I said, most people in their 50s are having sex twice a month, whereas once to twice a month, and I'm wanting to have it once to twice a day. My libido is a little bit higher than most. You have to make sure you're aligned with whoever you want to be with and they can come to your expectations. It might be exhausting for some men. You may have a higher libido than they do, or you may not. I mean, everybody's a little bit different. But if you do have a higher libido, just realize you need to find somebody that aligns with you. Also, what's the definition of intimacy for you? For instance, for me, I like to snuggle after intercourse. And it doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be like one person laying on top of the other. Just holding hands and being close to me is intimate after. If you want to do like a little spoon or a big spoon, that's fine. But just being close to someone is intimate enough. That intimacy is nice. Now, I'm not a talker after sex. I'm kind of like exhausted, especially if it was good sex. I'm not a big chatty Cathy, as they say. But other people are, if you want to talk a little bit but it's probably not the time to set out your goals and ambitions right after sex. It's kind of a more mellow type of timing. And some people look at sex as just a way to procreate. I look at sex as a pleasurable thing. To me, it means that you can be with a person that you love, that you can connect with somebody, and you have some companionship. If it's low, don't panic. There's ways to increase it too, but get curious. Do you have too much stress? Are you having pain? Are you just not connected to your partner? I mean, there's so many reasons why people have less sex. Are you resenting them? Or are there hormone issues? Or there physical issues? But, if you're not having sex at a higher frequency, you're having some unmet emotional needs. Lack of sex can make it so you're sad. Lack of sex can make it so that you're not connecting well with your partner because sex is part of connection. It's not the only part of connection, but it is a big part. One thing is that to remember is the lower desire partner is going to set the pace. So if you want to have more sex and your husband has less desire than you, you're going to have to find a way to increase his desire. And men, if you want more sex, you're going to have to find a way to increase your wife's desire. Now, women are actually pretty easy because you just need to show them respect and make them feel safe, and they will be more in tune. Now, you also going to have to give them an orgasm here and there, like I would think every single time. Because if a woman's not getting an orgasm at every single intercourse session, then she's not going to want to be with you. Most women don't orgasm from intercourse alone. Some do, but it's normal for women to not orgasm from sex, guys. It's very normal. So remember, you need to make sure that she's pleased. Sex alone, if she's not getting an orgasm, she's not going to want to be with you very often. Foreplay can start in the kitchen. It can start outside. It can start holding hands at a restaurant. It can start anywhere. But you got to make her feel respected throughout the day for her to want to actually be with you. Her desire is going to be responsive to you. And if you're desiring her and very, at her level, hopefully you have a reciprocal relationship and it comes back to you. But stop waiting to feel it and start building conditions for it. Don't make excuses for your failing sex life because it's on both people. Then if you're not getting enough sex, then start respecting her more and giving her signs that she can be safe and treating her well, and you'll get more sex. But she also needs to make sure the sex is not painful. If a woman's super dry, you guys are going to have to use some lubricant, or it's going to be painful long term. Okay? And painful sex, it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you need to look into it. And women can also have growths and other types of things that can cause pain during sex, cancer. So get yourself checked out if your sex is painful. Your body needs help, whether it's hormonal help or if it's something else, your body needs some assistance. Then focus on the quality of sex, not the quantity, although I think you can have both, but quality of sex does matter. A great sex life is usually the side effect of a great emotional life. So a great connection with your partner, a great love. And the more connected you are with your partner, the more you're going to want to have sex with them. So I hope that helped. It's not how many, it's not the quantity, it's the quality, but the quantity does matter too. And it matters because the more sex you have, the happier you'll probably be, as long as the sex is not painful. So I hope that helps with everybody. I wanted to kind of give you a high overview of frequency of sex and the art of having sexual experiences. And you take this with you. Maybe try to have sex just 1 or 2 times more per week and see how it goes. But I wish you the best in your sexual life. This is Diva Mia signing off. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professionals. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributor and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partner. All facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording. Information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.